Good morning and happy Friday. Friday is finally come upon us, and I am very, very happy that it's Friday. Friday is a great day because for most of us, it's the end of our work week and it's the beginning of the weekend. So, happy Friday to those of you that don't have to work over the weekend. I hope everybody had a great week, first of all. Before I get into my message, I hope that everybody's week was prosperous, was blessed, and it was, productive. I hope you got a lot done, everything that you set out to do. I hope that you were able to do that. So, today, what I want to talk about is God sin. God will send someone into your life to make your life so much better than what it currently is, or it will change the course. The encounter that you have with people will change the course of your life for the better. And, sometimes we get off track in life, but God will send someone our way that will put us back on the right track, put things into perspective for us. And over the course of my life, I have had several God sins to come my way to pour into me so much, so much blessings and words of encouragement, wisdom. And this all started at a very young age for me. I'm going to take you guys on a journey today. And on this journey, you will see how I come to be who I am. And I like talking about this. And when I tell things, it's to inspire, to encourage, to let you all see that there is something better. There's something better for you. And God, and the bottom line is that God loves each and every one of us, and He knows what our desires are. He knows what we need. He knows what we need more than we can even verbally express or even pray to Him for. He knows that already. So I just want to I'm gonna go back to when I was a young girl. Growing up, I grew up with my mother. She was a single parent. I was the baby. All of my siblings, I think between my youngest sibling and myself, there's 9 or 10 years between the two of us. So they were mostly, adults, my siblings. My sister, she had a difficult time with addiction earlier on in her life. She's been clean now for almost 15 years, so that's a blessing. But earlier in her life, she had a difficult time going through drug addictions, and she had seven children, and my mother took on the responsibility of raising her children for her because she was unable to. So it was myself and six of my sister's children living, with my mother, for me growing up. So I had a lot of younger kids always around. I did not have a father figure in my life growing up, but there was always something that I desired. I knew all about women. I had a sister, I had a mother, aunts, cousins, friends. I knew all there was to know about a woman, but what I didn't have was, a male role model or father figure in my life. My dad was there, but he was at a distance. He lived in Detroit, Michigan, and I lived in Florida. So there was a big distance between my dad and I. We mostly spent a lot of time with me growing up over the phone, as opposed to him being hands on, but he did what he could from where he was at. But I always longed to have a father figure that was right there to, make me feel special, like little girls want their daddies, feel like daddy's girl. I didn't have that. But God is so good that He, throughout the course of my life, He sent those things to me. My first encounter with a father figure, male role model, I believe I was maybe uh, 14 or 15 years old at the time, when it was a friend of the family, a guy that my mom had met. I think they dated briefly, but he, even after their dating ended, he was still, active in our lives as far as stopping by to see how we were doing and things like that. And he would talk to me. He would spend time and talk to me, and just ask me things about myself and, what I want to do in life and this and that. And the great thing about him, he would call and talk to me over the phone, and just it was never nothing inappropriate. It was always, it's like a father figure. He owned a store, and in the store he sold purses and shoes and all kind of stuff. And he would invite me to the store. From times he would pick me up, take me to the store, and tell me to pick out what I wanted. And we would have these talks, and you know and that meant a lot to me at that time, because that was like that longing that I had for a father. It's like God, he always sends somebody your way to fill voids in our lives and to steer us in the right direction and give us what we think we are lacking. So he was one person. And then the next man that I met, this man changed my life in such a awesome way, and I love telling this story to give people hope. He I hope I don't get emotional, because he has passed away since. But he came into my life when I believe I was around 18 or 19 years old. I had just had my first child, and he also was a business owner. And because of his business, that's how my family met his met him, because we had to patronize his business a time or two. And he took to me, nothing was inappropriate about this relationship. It was more like a male role model father figure. He took to me. And I remember one day he asked me, as we were riding through the city, he came and picked me up one day. He picked me up, and he also picked my then boyfriend up at the time. And the three of us, we rode around the city, and he talked to us about life, what we want to do with our lives, because he saw that we were a young couple with a young child. And he really wanted to get into our heads to find out what it is we wanted in life, and how he could help. Basically, I didn't know that he was asking to see how he could help us, make our dreams come true in any way that he could. So as we were riding around, he was like, "What do you want? What do you want right now?" So at that time, the only thing that I could think of that I wanted was to move out of my mother's home. I had been there with all the children for so many years, and now I had a child. I didn't want to live, under my mother's roof now that I had began my family. So he said, "Well, I tell you what, you find you a home and you call me." So I was like, "Okay." So we went out looking for houses and, things. And so eventually I found a place, and I called him and I said, "I found a place." And he was like, "Well, how much money do you need?" And I told him. He said, "Come to my office." So I went to his office, and he wrote me a check, the biggest check that a very big check. He wrote me a check, and he told me, "It's yours." And I bought my first home. I bought a car, out of the money that he gave me. I bought me a home. And that happening to me just really opened my eyes to the fact that God is real. God cares about what we care about. God knows what we need. And he will send somebody your way to give you what it is that you need. Um, I mean that right there, that was a changing point in my life, for somebody who is of no relation, has no alternative motive or ulterior motive, no expectancy of anything from you other than for you to live the best life that you could possibly be. For somebody, to do something like that for me, that really touched my heart, and it still touches my heart all these many years later, that somebody would care so much about me and my future that they will make an investment in me. You know, he wasn't my father, but he was like a father, you know. So that, and for every person God sends in your life, the enemy will send 10. So for all the encounters that I had throughout my life, the enemy was there devising plans so that I could to take me off track, because these people came into my life to fill those voids that I had, for as far as missing my father. But the enemy was sending 5 people this way and 5 people that way to take me off of my plan. And throughout my life, I have had a lot of setbacks. I had a lot of the house that I did end up buying, I ended up selling it. I believe, sometimes I think, why did I do that? Why, it was a bad decision. But a lot of things came into play to cause me to, just not want to live in the house anymore. So I sold the house. Um, After I sold the house, I ended up moving in with my mother for a short period of time. Now I'm back in the house with all her and all the children, which that wasn't, it was something that I feel I had to do to get myself back on track. And once I got back in the house with my mother, that's when I really, really began to pray. I prayed more then than any time ever before in my life. And when I was there, I would pray, I would cry out to God, I would pray and I would pray and I would pray. And he again sent a man my way, and that put me back on my feet. You know, I was able to I was working for a friend of mine. She has a cleaning service, and I was working cleaning an office at an apartment complex. And there was a new guy in the office, a guy that I had never seen before. He was there, and he saw me cleaning, and I was vacuuming. I'll never forget. And he was like, "Turn the vacuum cleaner off for a second." So I turned it off, and he said to me, I don't know how much you make working for whoever your contract, the company that's contracted with the apartment complex here, but would you mind working for me? And I was like, oh, no, I don't mind at all. So anyway, make a long story short, I was living with my mom. I was working for my friend at her cleaning service. And because of those encounters, I met a guy who offered me a job for the company instead of, going through my friend's company. And she was cool with that. That was great. So I started working for the apartment complex, and after working for about maybe a few weeks, him and I would walk around the apartment complex, and he would tell me, what he expected of me to do, tell me how much he would pay. He asked me how much I wanted to make and how many hours I would be available and what time I wanted. I made my own schedule, and I was in school at that time, so that was great. So I told him all of my requirements, what I needed, and I told him that I was living with my mother, and I really, really wanted to move out. He said, "You want to move? You do you want an apartment?" And I'm like, "Do I want an apartment? Of course, yes." So God sent another person into my life, not and everything that I needed at that time, everything I was praying and crying out to God for. He sent the person, no ulterior motives, no sexual relationship, no nothing other than to help me and to get me back on the right track. This is how good God is. This is why I do the things that I do. And I'm not bragging. I'm trying to inspire. That's it. And trying to let you see that God sees the areas that you struggle in. But if you place your trust and you place your faith in Him, He will make a way for you. So back to the story. He gave me an apartment. I moved into the apartment for $0. My rent was $0. $0. Nothing. And when I moved in, the power was already on. It was on for about 2 months, but he told me, it will be on for about 2 months, but eventually you'll have to go ahead and transfer the lights into your name and stuff like that. So, but basically, the only thing I had to pay, and I lived there for about a year. For 8 months of the year, it was rent free. I worked. I got paid to, and I was given an apartment to live in for free. Um, that right there, with that encounter with him, was able to, it restored my faith in God. It gave me hope, and it makes me want to reach out to people, because those acts from those three men, and there are more stories I'll have to tell you guys in another video at another time. I i just want everybody to know that God loves you. He sees you. Don't ever stop praying. Don't I mean Keep praying, keep believing, keep the faith. I will continue this in my next video on Monday. I hope everybody have a great weekend. Be blessed.